Gabriel is an Arsenal player. It has been the longest, most drawn out transfer saga that has happened that I have ever witnessed. And we're going to talk about it. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, a show in which we react to the latest Arsenal news. And hell, is there some news to talk about in what appeared to be the biggest troll you have ever seen from the Arsenal social media admins. What we got was a WhatsApp video chat between Willian, David Luiz, and then, of course, Gabriel Magalhaes. And I am very, very happy about this finally being over. There was people turning around yesterday saying that it might not be happening, which I couldn't quite believe. And thankfully I didn't. And now we're sitting here and enjoying the reaction to it being made official. And I am absolutely buzzing with that fact. Now, it was the weirdest. I don't know. I'm assuming that most of you guys had your notification turned on to obviously see the different stream. But as announcement video was one of the strangest. Of course, with the whole situation that we've got right now, it means that the announcement videos, the quarantines, the stuff like that is not going to enable the usual sort of situation that you would have for a player signing. And I imagine that you'll have a very similar sort of thing when it comes to any further signings that we make in this window. And that meant that this, I kind of liked it in a weird way. I thought it was really well done. I thought that David Luiz has got a future in acting. I mean, I know it wasn't, they're just having a conversation, but he knew the words to say. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was great just to see David Luiz hosting this little video chat. Willian, obviously great to speak to him as well. Of course, we've not seen him yet in an Arsenal shirt on the pitch yet, and I look forward to seeing that a lot. But as they talked about this Brazilian family growing, I love the little tease when David Luiz is like, we've got Gabriel, and in brackets in the subtitles it said Martinelli, because they knew they had to clarify that. But it's good to see, and it's always nice to have these sort of little groups of the same nationality. We used to have it with the German contingent, of course. We saw it with Özil, with Mertesacker, with Podolski, Gnabry as well, who was there at the time too. And it's good to have these kind of small groups within themselves as well. And I think it's really nice to have that in that sense as well. I'm just going to try and sort out my the microphone. I'm not quite sure why it's on this one. We'll try and switch it. You can still hear me. Can you hear me? I think you can. Okay, so the microphone should be properly done now. I'm not sure why it was coming through the other one. You should be able to hear me much nicer now. But yeah, it's great. And we're going to get some of your reaction too, which is obviously all we want to do on the show is get our fan reaction. So Cole Halberg says, great announcement. I think they knew it would be another week before any official pics and video can be taken. So it's good improvisation from the club. Didn't you see a Gabriel sign video a week ago? I'm not sure. I think I did, but I think that was fan-made, right, dog? Glenn Cook says, finally, our fan base can trust Edu and Arteta. Shake my head. 04 says, the Brazilian contingent growing by the day. Welcome to the family, Gabriel. Finally, says, I mean, I saw a lot of you put in finally, it's fair to say. Aravind with the donation. Thank you ever so much, mate. Remember me, Awar and Partey incoming next. I mean, it's what you said, Aravind, and we'll hold you to it. Don't you think that we won't? Saeed says, why is no video made? The reason why is to do with the COVID situation, with the quarantine rules, 2 weeks it would take, and they want to announce it. So we might see a video. We might not. Let's have a look at the actual post on the website. And see what the Arsenal hierarchy are saying about this. Central defender Gabriel has joined us from French side Lille on a long-term contract. The 22-year-old Brazilian has completed his move and will wear our number 6 shirt, which, if my memory serves me well, I believe that was Koscielny's squad number? Please tell me in the chat box if my mind has turned to mush, and that's not the case, but I'm pretty sure it was Koscielny's. Gabriel's full name is Gabriel dos Santos Magalhães. Started his career in Brazil with Avaí FC before joining Lille in January of 2017. During his time in France, Gabriel spent time on loan with Troyes in France and laterally in Croatia with Dynamo Zagreb. On returning from his loan spells, the Sao Paulo-born defender became a regular in the Lille side, helping them to a fourth-place Ligue 1 finish last season, starting all 6 of their Champions League group stage matches. Technical director Edu, of course, is a compatriot of Gabriel, and maybe we're starting to see more Brazilians come in because of Edu, and I'm fine with that because there's a lot of really exciting young Brazilian talent. You've seen that with Martinelli, and now we're starting to see it with Gabriel as well. He says, we are delighted to have signed Gabriel. He is a player we have been studying for a while, and he was in demand from many clubs. So we are proud to have agreed and completed this transfer with Lille and the player. Gabriel is a player of high quality, and Mikel and his coaches are looking forward to integrating him into the club. Arteta, who of course has looked at and been really integral in the transfer dealings this summer. Raul was definitely involved before he left, but Arteta, there is now a lot of emphasis on the Spaniard to get these deals done for the players that he wants to see join his squad. Arteta said, we welcome Gabriel to Arsenal. He has many qualities which will make us stronger as a defensive unit and as a team. He has proved with Lille that he is a defender with many outstanding attributes, and we are looking forward to watching him grow as an Arsenal player. The deal was subject, of course, to the regulatory processes. So there you go. Amazing stuff. Iron Cub. I mean, what a day to join us as a member. If you would like to join the group of members, you get access to exclusive content. And it is September now, which means that the new content for our Expert Plus members will be dropping this month at some stage. And of course, that means we'll also be doing another Expert Members podcast. And if you would love to come and join me and possibly some of the guys on the channel, all you need to do is sign up to be an Expert member, and you could feature yourself having your thoughts heard on the channel too, and it'd be a great pleasure to have you join us. So thank you, Iron Cub. Finally, it's taken you a while because you've been here a while, but thank you for joining up, mate. Let's get some more of your reactions. William Gustafsson is talking about how we might see Gabriel feature in Arsenal's back line. He says that he sees Gabriel, Luiz and Saliba as a possible back three. I said on the video a couple of days back that I saw Arsenal starting still with that back three. I'm not sure if it'll be Gabriel on that left-hand side, whether he'll be central with Tierney playing there, but maybe it releases Tierney into that left wing-back position. That might be very interesting to see how Tierney does in more of an advanced role than this left centre-back role that he has been playing. I quite like the idea of it. I expect that the long-term thing with Arteta will see us move to a back four, in which we will accommodate both Gabriel and Saliba in the long term. But I do see David Luiz being an integral part of the team's backline for this current season as he approaches the end of his time at the club, unless they, of course, extend that deal for another year. But we've got a lot of centre-backs at the club, and I can't imagine they'd see him staying beyond this season. But I thought that about last season. So who knows at this stage? But it'd be great to see those two partner. The long-term vision is that we've now got a really fantastic duo of young centre-backs in Gabriel and Saliba that have amazing potential that could be our centre-back partnership for a long time. Asmit says, now I want some player to exit, please. Akene says, no, Tom. Back three has come to stay. Pramod says, Gabriel, welcome to Arsenal. Now fans back to waiting on the announcement of Aubameyang signing De Ting. Freddie McNay says, I think Gabriel will start in the back three, left centre-back, if we haven't got Partey in by the start of the season. I think that you have to look at the midfield situation at Arsenal, and if Arsenal are able to strengthen there before the start of the season, you may see a switch to a back four. I still think it's unlikely, but if Arsenal can bring in the likes of Partey, which is still Arsenal's priority target, that is common knowledge that Arsenal are or have agreed personal terms with the Ghanaian international. And if Arsenal can therefore move forward with a proper bid, possibly through the selling of some players, then of course what we will see is, at the end of the day, what we'll see is Arsenal hopefully switch into a back four and have a really solid midfield. The other big news that we must talk about that isn't official yet, but the whispers and the sounds that are coming out of the official and unofficial sources is that Dani Ceballos will also be rejoining Arsenal for the upcoming season, signing another year-long loan. It does not include any obligation or option to extend that deal to a full-time period and as a permanent signing, but just getting Ceballos in for the next season is incredibly important for what Arteta wants to achieve. I am a massive fan of the Spaniard, was before he joined the Arsenal. We did tactical breakdowns on the Spaniard before he joined us, and I was raving about this guy. And finally, he came good. I know he came good at the start of his time at Arsenal, but I'm sorry, Unai Emery's industrious, turgid style ruined that midfielder, and Arteta has invigorated the 23-year-old to become and show the potential that we knew he had when he was at Real Betis and then at Real Madrid, which didn't quite work, but it has worked under Arteta. So, Gabriel signing, Dani Ceballos round the corner as well, and possibly even further additions with Hassem Aouar constantly being linked. No official bid was put in yesterday, despite reports you may have seen on Twitter, but that doesn't mean that a bid is not going to be submitted, which I would be very surprised if it didn't come in the next couple of days. Let's get some more of your reaction in the chat box. Christopher Fung says, "Lol, who cares who makes better videos?" About what? I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about there. I probably don't care. Jam Krista says, "Top 4, here we come." Iron Cub says, "The Serie A transfer window open today, so we might see the Torreira deal accelerate." Of course. And Fiorentina have been heavily linked now with Torreira, and apparently Arsenal's stance has softened on whether they would sell the Uruguay international. Pramod says, "We need to sell Mustafi and Socrates now. Send Holding on." Like, we won't be able to sell Mustafi, mate, I'm afraid, because of course he is still injured. No players can move on when they're injured, but I just don't see it happening. Socrates will be very likely moving away for around 4.5 million euros to Napoli. And then you've got Holding going on loan, most likely to Newcastle, is the latest information regarding that transfer. And then you're looking at other centre-backs that could be moved on. Chambers could leave for Fulham, etc. We've got Mavropanos on loan. We've got Zach Medley on loan. We've got other players in the squad that can cover those positions in the long term. But Arsenal's centre-back situation with Marie still there. A lot of people forget we even signed Pablo Marie at this stage. But we are very, very well stocked in terms of our centre-backs. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the future and who will be getting those starts. Alex McCarthy, another one of our fantastic members, says, "Now spells the end of Holding, Chambers and Socrates for me. Sell and recoup some finances for Partey." Iron Cub says, "Gabriel just said himself that the Arsenal fans spamming him to join played a big part in his decision." So if you've ever thought that fans don't have the power, which I have been guilty of thinking in the past, it goes to show you that a little bit of pestering can go a long way, and persistence is definitely key. Where is a friendly today against QPR, as Christopher Fung says? So we'll have to make sure we have a look out for how the guys get on. I know that Aziz, I believe, is playing, Miguel Aziz, so it'll be interesting to see how the youngster goes. Avon Teddington says, "There's a lot going on. Well done, Arsenal, in this investment. Hopefully Alba's contract is all coming as well." Gary Hardy says, "We have to get rid of at least 2 non-homegrown players to add any more to the team." And I imagine that some of them may be in the form of Socrates, of El Neni, possibly some other players around the squad, Torreira too, that we might see leave before any other first-team players come into the team. Beaver Paul says, "Time to spam Partey. We've got the power, supposedly, and if we do, that means you need to get onto social medias and spam that Thomas Partey Instagram account and getting him to join the Arsenal." I'm not going to, but I know that there's enough of a force out there that you guys will get it done. Pramod says, "I agree, we are well stocked in centre-back, but I just worry we might not have enough depth to play in the Europa League this season." I think when you look at what we've actually got available to us, in the defence area, we've got Bellerin, Tierney, Saliba, Socrates, Gabriel now, who is on the official website, Holding, Cedric, Mustafi, Chambers, Marie, David Luiz, and Kolasinac. We're still well stocked. I think we will be absolutely fine in that area. Dubbin and Hemp says, "What's the membership thing. You have details on how to join. If you want to join us as a member, let me get my words out right, then all you need to do is click the link in the description. It will take you to a page. If you're on iOS, you will need to go onto Safari to find the link and copy and paste it into there. If you're on Android, it should just be there. If you go onto the main channel page, click the join button, get access to exclusive content, and stand out into our chat box so you can get your comments prioritized. And you can also get the chance to appear on the show, which is a real pleasure for the guys that have done already. Christopher Fung that reckons that Aouar and Partey should be the target of Arsenal fans so far. Jared Carver, who actually featured on the show fantastically well, Chicago Gooner, make sure you go check him out on Twitter, says, good day for the Arsenal. Enjoyed the intro vid from David and Willian. I think that the Willian signing's going a little bit under the radar, if I'm being genuinely honest. And I'm really excited to see what the Brazilian can do in an Arsenal shirt. I think he adds a little bit of verve. I think he adds a bit of skill. I think he adds that just little bit of excitement that we've needed in that front line. He adds backup and competition to Pepe and versatility playing on both wings, and also with the possibility of playing him in that central attacking midfield role too. So I think there's a lot to say about the signing of Willian. I'm excited to see our Brazilian contingent continue to grow and prosper in the Arsenal side. Ashwin Watkins says that he struggles with Twitter, and you're not the only one, Ashwin. A lot of people do, for sure. Jared Carver says, join up. The exclusive content is solid. There you go. You get exclusive content in terms of interviews with podcast regulars and journalists too. We talked to Adam White from Get French Football News. He's the chief guy over there at the chief writers sections. We've talked to Glenn Glaser. We've had people on the channel like Amy Lawrence and Alan Smith as well, and I continue to try and get you the biggest names onto the channel as well, and the exclusive content will be coming our way. Go on, Ride Dog. You've been pestering me. He says, I want Tom to answer it. It's or Partey and Coutinho. That is a really good question. And my answer is Aouar and Partey, which wasn't an option. But I probably think Aouar and Diawara may be better, just because Aouar is a fantastically young player that has a lot of potential around him, and Partey and Coutinho just don't have the same sell-on value. And if you look at Aouar and Diawara, you've got that young contingent still, and it just gives you that long-term project. So I'd probably go for your first two there. But I would rather, of course, we sign Partey and Aouar than the others in your selection. Tyrone Bowell says, Gabriel Hayes in live video with Willian and Louise. It was fantastic. I really liked it. 100% I liked it. Manoush says, Tom, is it not possible to get Fabrizio Romano on the channel? To be honest, he's been on everyone's channels these days. I don't think he would tell you anything different on here than he has done on the other site. So if you want to go listen to Fabrizio Romano, then go check him out on the channels that he's been on. But I don't think you get anything else extra from him on here. I really don't. So he's all over the place. So go check him out. Aaron Letchford says, if we don't get Partey, do you think Louise would play centre defensive mid and go for Aouar? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see Louise at defensive midfield. I think he's solidly going to be playing centre-back for Arsenal. If he does play midfield, it would really surprise me. I'd hold my hands up and say fair play. I just don't think you'd see Louise going into that role. Freddie McNay says, Tom, do you think we can sign both Partey and Aouar? I think it's unlikely we sign both. I think there's a real strong chance we get one of them, but I'm not sure you were seeing... I'm not sure you're going to see both of them come in at all. Joshua Sullivan says, from what I heard, how to say it is Magalhães, which would make sense. Esh is a very common pronunciation in that Portuguese. So maybe Magalhães is how you do it. If so, I've learned something new. You know, guys, what I'm like about my pronunciations. So I appreciate any help you can give me my way. Glenn Cook says, Aouar will be in installments just like Pepe. I've heard our fan base say the same thing about Pepe before we got him. True, I don't know what's going on with the deal specifically. I know there's obviously strong interest, but whether a bid is going to go in the next couple of days, we'll have to wait and see. But none's been officially put in as of yet. Rui Rodriguez says, Tom, how good does it feel to know that we are finally strengthening in areas we desperately need, unlike previous years. Rui, it feels bloody fantastic, mate. I'm loving that we're signing centre-backs. I love that we're seeing us linked with centre midfielders, and it's a breath of fresh air to have a coach and a recruitment staff that are in sync and are trying to sign players that we desperately need and know that will improve our team massively. So, yeah. Massively so, mate. Matt Gray says, Tom, do you think Atleti possibly signing Mark Roca increases our chances of getting Partey? What I will say, and I've had a couple of discussions with people on Twitter today regarding this, is that when Atletico Madrid sold Rodri, the situation at Atleti was that they brought in Marcus Llorente, who, of course, has now gone on to play in a more advanced role. Partey playing in that midfield too, as kind of the more disciplined number 6. Can transform into a number 8 very effectively too. But Rodri wasn't, for me, looking from the outside in, replaced effectively in Marcus Llorente. The amount of minutes he was getting at Real Madrid was limited. He wasn't, for me, looked upon as the out-and-out replacement for Rodri. And I still felt they needed to do more to replace what an amazing player Rodri was for Atleti and, of course, before that, Villarreal. And now bringing in Mark Roca for a measly 15 million euros, which is an amazing coup. It really is, because he's a hell of a player. I think that goes more to cover that position that Rodri vacated, more so than Thomas Partey. It might have an impact. I think it'd be naive to say that has no impact at all. But I think the primary thing is to see a player either partner Partey, because Atletico are planning to have Partey in their team for next season. That's the bottom line. Atletico Madrid have no control whether Partey is there or not unless he signs a new deal, because if a team comes in and pays his release clause, that's it. But if he's there next season, they're going to plan for him to be there next season. I think Roca is an option to play with Partey, who would then go into a more of a number 8 position than simply playing as that number 6 on his own. So I think they're linked. I don't necessarily means that it guarantees you that Thomas Partey is leaving. That's my sort of head where I'm at on that one. Iron Cub, our fantastic new member, says, if we do sell Torreira for 25 to 27 million, then that must mean Partey will happen. That puts us pretty close to his release clause already. And I think that the thing about the money side of things, and we know that our market value of players has dropped because Arsenal are desperate to reinvest funds into possible transfers, is that with Ainsley Maitland-Niles not looking like he's going to be out the door this season, which is great. I'm absolutely buzzing that we're not going to move him on. Is that Torreira is looking to be the guy that takes the fall, and I'm fine with that. If you were asking me, would I rather see us sell Lucas Torreira or sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles? And it's amazing to be saying this now, but it has to be Lucas Torreira. You'd rather we sold the Uruguayan than sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because I just see so much more potential in the Englishman than I do see in the Uruguayan. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer, and I'm hoping to hell that money gets reinvested. Toby MUFC, who is a Man United fan, welcome to the chat, mate. He says, hey, Tom, great signing by Arsenal. I'm a United fan and I enjoy your YouTube channel. Thank you, mate. Do you think Donny van der Beek is a good signing? I can't wait for it to be announced. Now, this is interesting. I know we're talking about Gabriel today, but I wanted to address this because I tweeted it out on the Twitter account at the Gooner Talk TV. Go follow us over on Twitter. We're growing rapidly and I'm loving all of the conversations that are going on there. Apologies if I don't reply to you. There's a lot of notifications throughout the day. But in terms of Van der Beek, I think it's a great signing. I don't agree with a lot of the pundits of what they're saying about Donny van der Beek. I don't agree with it at all. I think that you're creating a lot more tactical flexibility. Just because you can't play Pogba, Bruno, and Van der Beek together does not mean you don't go and sign him. Because sometimes Pogba and Fernandes don't work in every game. And sometimes you're going to need a player of the profile of Van der Beek instead of a Pogba or instead of a Fernandes. And I think that when a team adds an extra player to a position that you already have, it doesn't mean it's a silly signing. It means you're adding flexibility, it means you're adding depth, and it means that you can change your team based upon the opposition you're playing against. Similar to how Arsenal brought in Willian when we're already well stocked in wide areas. Willian's versatility and depth adds to Arsenal's lineup. And I think it's the same thing. So I think people that are turning around and saying that it's a silly signing to buy a player that's going to sit on the bench, I think it's naive. And I genuinely believe that he'll be a success at Man United. And I'm very jealous, Toby. I'm very jealous. But thank you for the support on the channel, even though you're not an Arsenal fan. I really appreciate it, mate. We've got a couple of people that are from other clubs. We've got Ryan, as well as a massive Liverpool fan, and a few others. So thank you so much. Super Saber says 499 watching, 63 likes. We can do so much better than that. Click that like button if you've enjoyed Gabriel signing for Arsenal today. Space Monkey says, Tom, would you prefer Aouar or Thiago? I think they're two players that play very different positions. I think the better comparison would be between Thiago and Partey. I think I'd rather Aouar for the long term, but Thiago is an amazing footballer. Freddie McNay says, Tom, if our window was Gabriel, Willian and Partey, is that a success? Good question, because I think that a lot of people would like to see us add a more creative-minded midfielder to the central part of the pitch. Is it a success? Willian improves depth. Gabriel improves the centre-back area, of which, of course, Saliba is also joining too. Partey transforms the midfield. I think it's a success, yes, if we just signed those three players. Of course, we've signed in quite a few young players as well for the youth setup, and that's always good too. It's a success. I think what you would call that is a good 8 out of 10 window, because you've brought in a world-class player in Partey, a really good player in Willian, and a fantastic up-and-coming player that can start in Gabriel. But I think, and if Ceballos came in, I think we can expect Freddie for Ceballos to be joining us. And I think that if that happens, that's a success. If you sign an Aouar, if you sign a creative midfielder too, it turns to a 9/10 and it obviously depends on who we lose and who we sell. And I think that also comes into how successful a window is who you sell. So for me, I think you need to look at all of those things. Jared Carver says definitely a success, especially since we also have Danny coming back. Joshua Sullivan says, do you think there is a chance Xhaka could still go with Ceballos coming back and the signing of Diawara or Partey? No, I don't. I think this is a similar thing to we talking about Donny van der Beek for Manchester United. Just because you sign players in a position that is well stocked does not mean that you then sell players, because it leaves you short. You need the depth. And I think Xhaka is, I know that a lot of people don't like him, and I completely understand that, and I have complete empathy for that feeling of dislike for him after what he did and after the mistakes he's made. But there is no doubting, and it can't be argued against, that Granit Xhaka has been integral to Arsenal's success in the latter part of the season in winning the FA Cup. And under Arteta, the Swiss international has been an absolutely transformed figure at the club, and I'm loving it. And I think that Partey with Xhaka creates a really strong dynamic in the midfield. And if you can add some creativity to go in front of it, I think you've got a real strong case there. Ceballos as well adds depth. I love what Ceballos is about. I thought he formed a really fantastic partnership with Xhaka. So for me, I just think that you've got to look at the long term. I think Xhaka's going to be here, and I think Xhaka can do a really good job for the club as well. William Gustafsson says it's obvious that Arteta really trusts Xhaka, and I think that what you have to look at is if we've all got to hold our hands up and say that Arteta has done an unbelievable job since being appointed, an unbelievable job, and you have to defer to his expertise rather than being stubborn with your own. I certainly have. I wanted Hector Bellerin to possibly be moved on. But if Arteta's got full faith in the Spaniard to maintain that right-back position, then I will back that 100%, because Arteta's not shown me that any reason not to trust him. Our record against big sides was so terrible. And Arteta has now got 2 wins against Liverpool in the league and the Community Shield. He's got a win against Manchester City, in which he beat his predecessor, Pep Guardiola. He's beaten other big sides like Manchester United. He's got really good results away at Chelsea in a game in which they dominated us. I just don't know what more Arteta has to do to convince some people in the earliest stage of his time at Arsenal. I don't know what more he can do, to be honest, to convince the biggest doubters. But next season, I'm excited. I'm really hoping that we can see some more from the Spaniard to show that we have made the right decision. Toby, in response to the comment I made earlier, I agree, Tom. Arteta has rejuvenated the Arsenal squad. Fair play. Tony Jar says Danny is coming back. Space Monkey says, Tom, do you think United will land up in Meccano? Because it's like my crush leaving for a guy who I hate the most. I don't know. He signed a new deal this summer. And you rarely see players leave. Harry Maguire did it. Demichelis signed to Atletico Madrid and then moved to Manchester City in the same summer. So anything's possible. I think it would cost them a hell of a lot of money. And I just don't think that if they're signing Van der Beek and Upamecano, they're not getting Sancho. They can't spend that amount. I just can't see how it'd be possible. So, yeah, there you go. Would you rather they signed Upamecano or Sancho? I think I'd rather they signed Sancho and stayed weak at the back, to be honest. But we'll just have to see. Daniel Roberts says, have you seen the video Arsenal put on Twitter with the Brazilians? Huge disrespect to Andre Santos, in my opinion. I don't know. I've not seen it yet, so I'm not going to comment. Oliver says, Lil, going to hear from Kenya. Very hopeful this season. Thank you for tuning in, Oliver. Hope everything's well over there in Kenya. Corey Burnside says, if Laka leaves, would you get a new striker or move Alba there and go for someone like Sam Maximin on the left wing? I think I'd still bring someone in for depth. Especially considering if Laka gets us a really good fee. And I kind of like Alba on the left. I think he gives us a lot there. And that's just my feeling on that one. Avon Teddington says, have reservations that Partey and Xhaka could form a pivot in a 3 or with a mobile 8. That said, we have to be able to win games without Xhaka in the side, which is where Partey comes in. What I would, to try and tweak your mindset there, Avon, what I would look at is how Partey transforms the team from a defensive point of view to an offensive point of view. When you look at how he takes the ball from deep areas and transforms and beats the high press, when you've got Xhaka there to also spray the passes into wide areas and relieve pressure in certain instances, I think that's where you can. However, what I would point out is that you're 100% right if Arsenal don't invest in a more creative midfielder to play in front of them, because you need that added connection to not just connect the defence to the midfield, which Partey can do really well, and what Xhaka can do is connect with the wide areas really well, but you need that connection between the central midfield part and the central part of the forward line, be it Aubameyang, be it Pepe cutting inside, be it Lacazette playing in the striking role. That centre part of the Arsenal's creative field has been diminished last season, and we need to address that. So I think they can play together, but I think it's dependent on who else partners them in the midfield. Zris Breezy says, great thing you're doing there, Gunners from Lagos in Nigeria. Lagos? Correct me. Ziris, please. But thank you, and thanks for joining me, mate. Christopher Fung says, Rydog, yes, Danny Xhaka, El Neni, Willock, ESR, and one of Partey and Awar, hopefully. Big thing about Emil Smith-Rowe, massive thing about him. I'm really hopeful he stays. I want him to get minutes, especially in the cup competitions. I'd also like to see him being brought on in the Premier League games. I'm not think he's quite there to start Premier League games just yet, but I think we've got a real special talent there. If you've not read the Athletic piece by James McNicholas, please do go over there and give that a read. It's really fantastic stuff. Goon S. Armory says, Tom, if there is slight truth in the reports, do you think Ozil would be interested in the Saudi Arabia move? Really good question. I still think you're going to see him stay this season. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's settled. He's got a new baby. He's got his other half in London. And you have to think about those things. I'm not sure they're going to be willing to up a move to Saudi Arabia, to be honest, this summer. I might be wrong. But if I was a betting man, which it can be at times, I would say that Ozil is going to be firmly in an Arsenal shirt this season, just not on the pitch. It's fair to say. Billy says Sabas plays as 10 in Spanish under-21s. He also plays in the national side on the left wing and has played there. He's played at number 10, he played at number 8, and he's played at number 6 for us too. So he is a very versatile player and one that will add a great depth and value to this team. Let's finish off the video with getting your Gabriel reactions. I would like you to sum up the signing of Gabriel with one word, and one word only. Don't cheat. You get one word. Tell me how you're feeling in regards to Gabriel's signing, and we'll highlight some of the best words that we can get. Let's get some tier 2, tier 3 vocab in the chat. How are we feeling about Gabriel's signing for the Arsenal? If I was going to ask a word, it would probably be relieved, because it's taken so bloody long. Jared Carver says hyped. Ed Reynolds, they're coming through quick, so I'm afraid I'm going to miss a few. Ed Reynolds says, sweet. Wetsy Malloy says, buzzing. Fantastic, says the Arsenal granny. Dave Atkinson says, ecstatic. Toby, from our Man United side of things, says he's intrigued. Alex McCarthy says, edu. And he's loving the fact of what the Brazilian is doing to the club. Sheldon Young says, wow, as a signing. Rydog says, progressive. Dushyant says, exciting. Adam says, unknown how he may do this season. Corey says, stupendous. Manoush says, favela party. You used 2 words, Manoush. You cheated. Stuart Brunning says, fiesta time.
Rodney says, Wabry. What? What does that mean? Is that a W for a win? I think that's what it is. Samanya says, Partey. Was there one word? I'm not sure you can do that, to be fair. I don't think that works quite yet. Joven says, satisfied. Farah says, overhyped. To be honest, Farah, I don't think this transfer could be anything other than overhyped with how this has been drawn out. So for me, I'm fine with that as a descriptive word for sure. Anne Rude says mystery. Zed Tom agrees with me and says finally. Chiboy says supercalifragilistic. I agree with that. It's brilliant. Hatim says inexperience. What inexperience playing at the top level of Liga football that's also played Champions League against the likes of Chelsea, playing PSG in his league and doing really well with one of the highest statistic returns for a defender in the top competition in France. Breathe. I don't think that's inexperienced at all. Inexperience is one of the most overrated traits of a player you will ever see. Otherwise, why would the biggest teams in the world sign some of the youngest players and have them smash things right from the off? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Foxy says relieved. Faisal says gassed. A blue whale who's not been in the chat for a while. Where you been, blue whale? I'm glad you're back, son. Says brilliant transfer window thus far. Ramon says done. Christopher Fung says Arteta. Iron Cub says Saka was inexperienced, and look what we got from him. Newman says, hi Tom, big up from France. Do you think William will be in the starting lineup versus Fulham? No, because he's not played enough pre-season. If he has a few more minutes in the Arsenal shirt, maybe. But at the moment, if you're asking me, I'm going to go with no. Billy Ferrelli says Feliz, which I'm sure means something that I'm unaware of. Glenn Cook says smart. And Manu says it's time to party or partay now might be the way to put it. Thank you ever so much to the over 500 of you, which I'm sure was plenty more in total, for listening to today's show. Please drop a like on the video. Really appreciate you. Tomorrow evening will be the TGT Writers podcast, in which I will be joined by, as always, by Owen, Drew, and John to discuss the latest Arsenal news and to tell you of the events which occurred this weekend, which led me to experience the worst day of my life. If you want to know a little bit about that and some more, and of course get the latest reaction to Arsenal news and be able to ask your questions to the guys in the chat, then make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when we're going live. Follow us over on Twitter at @TheGoonerTalk TV. Become a member and get access to exclusive, amazing content, as always, as our members will tell you. It's some really good stuff. And of course, the chance to even appear on the show. I'll be sending out a message to our expert members very soon for their opportunity to a chance to appear this season on the show. Thank you ever so much for listening. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, up the Arsenal. Gabriel is a Gooner.